the point. We are talking on birth certificates. What is the essentials of birth certificate in the lives of children and both adults too?
Mais est-ce que tu sais qu'il y a des gens ici dehors qui n'ont même pas d'acte de naissance?
It's very funny.
Ils sont tellement des pères, des vieux pères de 40, 60 ans qui n'ont pas d'acte de naissance. That is why I said
it's very funny to see elderly people these days without birth certificate. How come? Because I believe from birth.
On rencontre un monsieur qui a le courage, qui a l'audace de mettre au monde un enfant et n'a pas le courage de lui produire un acte de naissance. Oh. Je ne sais pas, je ne comprends pas comment ça peut se faire.
That kind of parents are the kind of parents that they themselves don't even have birth certificates. Because you do to your children what you do to yourself.
C'est justement
ça. Because
cela.
if a father or a mother or together parents could not make a birth certificate for their children and they themselves don't even have the birth certificate, what kind of life are they living? Because if you don't have a birth certificate, you are a non-existing human being.
Voilà,
you are not even recognized by your country, but you exist.
Par ton pays, tu n'es même pas reconnu par ton pays. Alors, est-ce que tu penses que nous sommes bien placés pour donner des conseils, pour dire des choses? Nous ne sommes pas bien placés, n'est-ce pas? Alors, on a une dame, une grande dame, avocate au barreau du Cameroun.
That's right.
Maître Patricia Kuwong, justement.
She will be the one to educate us on birth certificates, how important it is to our lives and to the entire country or to the entire population in general.
I'm Maître Kuwong Tembi Patricia. I'm a lawyer of the Cameroonian Bar. I'm here this morning to talk to you about this important document we call the birth certificate. What is a birth certificate? I think that's our first question. For people who don't know, and I know most of you know what a birth certificate is this document, an official document that is issued to a person, especially a newborn baby, that carries the identity of that child. It's a document that attests to the existence of a human being. I think for now, that is just what I want you to know, what this important document is all about. And this birth certificate, what is in the importance of it? I think everybody really wants to understand how important. Recently, the government is thinking about carrying out a campaign. There's actually a campaign about issuing birth certificates to each and every one of us. That means every citizen is supposed to have a birth certificate. So long as you are living, you're supposed to have a birth certificate. So it is super, super important. It's in fact, it's the first document that any individual is supposed to have is the birth certificate. That is how important it is. It is something that attests to your existence. It's a physical document that shows that a physical person is existing in a particular locality or a nation and belongs to that nation. Because before every other document is issued to you, you first of all have to show proof of that citizenship, of belonging to that country. And I would also like to say how you can obtain this birth certificate. The birth certificate is issued by a competent authority that we call the Civil Status Registry. That is headed by the Civil Status Registrar. These are people who come under oath, who take an oath to issue these documents because they are authentic documents. Anybody who has a birth certificate is considered, so long as you show it, it is considered an authentic document, which makes it very important. So before you get one, make sure that it is issued to you by the competent authority. That is why I'm going to talk to you about how you obtain it. The first thing when a child is born, if the child is born in a setup, in a hospital setup or a health center, there is an obligation on the health center to issue what we call a birth declaration. And within 30 days, that birth declaration has to be sent to the Civil Status Registry. While at the Civil Status Registry, they will now issue that birth certificate for that child. That is the first 30 days. It is an obligation given to that hospital setup, health center, whatever it is called. But you now don't even ask you this health center to give it to the parents. It is for you to transmit it. They have many the civil service status registries all over the place. The government has taken upon itself the responsibility to set up civil status registries nearest to the people, which means that you don't need to go far to get one. I'm not going to get into the details, but I just want you to know that one first. Secondly, within 60 days, the parents have to go to the civil status registry to declare the birth of the child. It doesn't matter whether you are married or not. Let me make it clear. Because some people used to think that you must be married to go and make a birth certificate for your child. You don't need to be married. So long as a child has been born, the filiation, the parental identity of the child has to be known, because this child will carry this document and he will take it everywhere he goes. Whether the father or the mother were mad people, they were fools, they were whatever, but the parental identity of the child has to be carried in the birth certificate. So 30 days from the hospital, 60 days from the time the parents have to take it to the council, as we call it. And then after that, after these 30 days, because if you count from the 30 plus 60, you have 90 days. After 90 days, you'll be forced to go to court. It will have to be a declaratory judgment, which means that the procedure will be longer. You have to take the child to court. You have to take witnesses to come and attest to the fact that they know that this child is yours, before you now take the judgment now to the council, to the civil status registrar, who will now put it in the document, in the registry of the council, to attest that this birth certificate was issued by the council. And this procedure is long, and not only long, but it is costly, because you have to pay, it takes your time, it takes money, it takes everything. So the best thing for us to do after a child is born, make sure that within that framework, that time limit of 90 days, you do everything to take the child to the council. Yeah. Now the second thing is this. Why is this document so important? You know, the government cannot come out and tell you we are carrying a campaign of this if the thing is not important. It is so capital in the life of everybody, because you cannot go to school. The first thing you need to do when you are going to the primary school or the nursery school, even from 3 years to 4 years, you need to present this document. Then you are admitted in school. We know that in certain areas where people are not yet well versed with the importance, they just think after the child is born, they go home and that is it. But when you need to go to school, you need to take it. Some go right to the, how do you call it, to class 6 primary school. And when you have to go to secondary school, you have to write the official exams, the common entrance and the first school living certificate, which are the very first certificates that every child needs. You are now blocked, and some children cannot even write those exams because they don't have these documents. It is not good. So we need to understand that. Give these children this document to help them forge ahead with their lives. Then secondly, it is important for any government to know the number of citizens, to demographically, how many are we? How can they know? Because every plan, economic development, is done with having in mind the number, the population. And with the birth certificate, the government can be able to plan what type of infrastructures we need for how many people. If we are building hospitals, if we are building schools, if we are training teachers, if we are training doctors, if we are training engineers, if we are training lawyers, if we are training journalists, if we are training these people, how important, how much, how do we work around these development plans without knowing our numbers? It is very important. So for us to help the government, to help us, we need to establish birth certificate. And I believe with this campaign that is coming, most people will be able to get into. There's no age to it, let me tell you. If you don't yet have one, do everything to have one. There's no age. You need to know that you are living in a physical world, and that physical world has to be represented with a physical thing. So spiritually, I know you are known, but physically, we need to know you exist. Thank you.